Awesome.
Hey,
Yeah,
we made it. Hey, Jen, how are you?
we did. I'm doing amazing. Thank
You,
you.
you
How are you?
absolutely look beautiful as always. I literally look at your Instagram pictures and I think this girl has got the most beautiful eyes and such
Thank
a lovely, lovely energy. And I'm so glad that we've managed to do this again because for the purpose of our viewers watching this the first time round with Mercury retrograde and these crazy energies, it just wasn't happening. And today I'm so glad that we've managed to reconnect in
Yeah.
synergy, in a better energy. And we're going to talk about that a bit later. But I'd like to introduce you to my viewers, first of all. Jen is a lovely healer that heals deep shadows and wounds to step people and healers into their power, abundance, and confidence. And she's the creator of the Unshakable You. Huge following on Instagram. You must follow her, Jen Edwards Official. That's
Yeah.
all one word. Yeah. And yeah, some of your posts, they come right at you have a few people on Instagram or Facebook, and it's just their posts that come just at the right time. And for
Yeah.
me, yours come at the right time. So thank you. And thank you for joining me on my show.
Yeah, I'm super grateful to be here, and I feel so honored to be here as well, Alpa. You're so beautiful, mind, body, soul, outward and inward beauty. And it's just wonderful to connect with you and to be with you and share whatever is going to come through us today to
Yeah.
share with our audience.
Yeah. Well, the reason why, see, sometimes there's this unspoken reasons, there's an energy that connects you. And it's like, right, while we're in this chaos of, the geopolitical nonsense that we've seen in the last 6 months, is this going to happen? Is that going to happen? What's going on with us emotionally and the mental health side of things and the emotional toll that it's taken? People like yourself are kind of keeping or doing the best that you can to keep people grounded. I'm sure your clients really appreciate that, because it's almost like humanity is so torn, and who has a manual to figure all of this out? And we're just trying to keep our head above water. And with everything that's going on globally, there's a lot of this going on. We're all a little bit shaken. And,
Well, yeah, I mean, like you said, there's no manual. And I think that the lack of teaching of personal emotional intelligence is on purpose, and people don't know how to handle it. They don't know how to handle uncertainty, and they don't know how to handle their emotional roller coaster that they're going to experience, because we were taught to shut down our emotions, don't express, don't feel. And now that we're in this place where we're like, our emotions, we have to ride the wave of them and be okay with them. And so this is what we're really learning to do. And there's a lot of people that are feeling like fish out of water with it.
yeah, I like that. Ride the wave. It was one of my show's titles yesterday. I put that,
Really?
riding the waves. Yeah, riding the waves of the storm. I mean, so much has happened, I'd say, for humanity in the last 6 months, and it's forced us to go inwards, and see and tested our patience, how our relationships are, friendships that we've had for years have been tested, into personal relationships, be it with people at work, family. Everything has taken a real purge, hasn't it? It's taken a complete purge. But the question is, in the line of work that you do, Jen, what is it and how is it that what is it that you say to your clients? I'm sure you've got loads of people like at wit's end with what's going on. How is it that you like help them and empower them to, stay centered and on course during these turbulent times?
So there's a lot of modalities that I use. I would say whenever it comes to personal development and understanding themselves, it comes to a self-acceptance and a self-love. And this is where I'm at. This is the journey that I'm on. This is how I'm feeling, and acknowledging the feeling. Because for the most part, like when people come to me, when they first do come to me, they come to me from a space of, I don't want to acknowledge these feelings because these are wrong. It's wrong for me to feel guilt. It's wrong for me to feel shame. It's wrong for me to feel sadness or depression or all of those things. They come to me from that space. And my work is about saying, no, 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 it's not wrong for you to feel those things. It's actually perfectly fine for you to feel those things. What you have to do is not stay in those things and understand how, like I said, to ride the wave of them, so that you're experiencing expressing the full spectrum of emotion as a human, because this is what we came here to do, right?
The journey to self.
Yeah. So the crux of shadow work is, because this is the main part of the work that I do, is shadow work, shadow alchemy. Alchemy is the transformation of energy. Your shadow is the aspect of yourself that you're like, I don't want to see that. Like, I don't want to acknowledge that that's there. This is part of me, but I don't want to know. Or it's even part of you and you don't realize that it's there. It's a subconscious pattern or behavior running your programs in your mind. And so the very first thing that I'm teaching people is how to identify their shadow, and then how to alchemize it right then and there. Right. Like, literally, I'll be in the middle of something and I'll have a thought and I'll be like, oh wait, I got to go alchemize this right away. And I use a lot of tapping, EFT tapping. Oh, wow. To alchemize. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so I will literally put my computer aside and go right into it. And then all of a sudden that thing that's the shadow will come up and I'll be like, oh, there it is. Yeah. But I mean, when you're acknowledging it, it's easier for it to dissipate as well. So shadow work is something that I found very helpful about 5 years ago, because I hadn't even heard of all this terminology. There was a lot of spiritual babble that was out there on Instagram. Yeah. I was barely on Facebook. And I used to love people like yourself, you know, just following all the spiritual sites. And it was really weird how I went through this transition of just unfollowing celebrity. I didn't really follow many celebrities, but it was an automatic process in 2017. There was just these immediate changes, and I was drawn to these type of sites and lovely quotes and things that get you to question yourself, or are speaking your language, or saying the right thing to you, be it through numerology, etc. So shadow work was something that I came across, and I was like, shadow work, like, what is this? This was probably about 5 years ago, 2015. And as I evolved in that journey, you know, you start learning a lot. You learn from other people, you know, nuggets of wisdom from everyone. You can learn something from every single person that you meet. We don't have the answers. We don't have all the answers. We have everything within, and we don't have that manual. But let's talk about the shadow work. I mean, for me, my journey was really just coming face to face with my fears, with like, even in this movement, it's like some of the things that I don't like about myself, I check in, and it's like, oh, where is this? Where is it that I'm getting triggered? And why is it that I'm getting triggered? And these are the sort of questions I ask myself, and I try to look at the opposite side of what I'm actually feeling at that given moment. So, you know, trying to address this whole thing about shadow work, because people ask me, Alpa, what do you mean by shadow work? You know? I know. And that's the thing, like, a lot of people haven't heard of it. I mean, the foundation of it came from Carl Jung, which is a well-known psychotherapist, obviously. He created it, and then a woman named Carolyn Myss kind of like took it to a whole new level. And the archetypes is what I mean, took it to a whole new level and really expanded on it from the human psyche. And so the shadow, like I was saying before, is the part of yourself that you either don't know is there, or you don't want to acknowledge is there. I'll give you an example. A girlfriend of mine, who is also a coach, had some massive money breakthroughs, and money was always like my biggest thing. Like, I had so much shadow around money, and so many beliefs, and so many limiting beliefs. And I had to heal a tremendous amount around this topic in my own life in order to set myself free. And a girlfriend of mine was very similar to me on her path. Was raised the same as me, as far as, you know, raised in a really good family, but then was middle class, had struggles with finances. She'd gone through a bankruptcy. She'd gone through losing a business. She'd gone through all of these things. And she broke through, and she began to really experience and express a lot of abundance, financial abundance in her world. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like, I had a massive breakthrough towards the end of last year, but I still wasn't where she was. The other day I was writing a post, and I was like, gosh, if I could just write like her. And I was like, whoa, what is that? That is interesting. I'm like, if I could just write like her, I could enroll people. And I was like, whoa, where is that coming from? And I immediately jumped into doing the alchemy around this. And I, you know, and you start with where you're at. Like, I wish I could write like her. I want to write like her, you know? And I just kept going and going and going. And I dug so deep. I was like, oh my gosh, this is where this is coming from. It's like an feeling of unworthiness. Like, I can't be, like, I can't break through or have that level of breakthrough.
Yeah.
And I got that out of the way. And then I wasn't attached to being able to write like her. It was like, okay, now it's my message. It's my stuff coming through.
Yeah, that's beautiful, because it's social media has played a big part of that, haven't they? Like, where we are looking to others and kind of self-deprecating ourselves, inadvertently, or, you know, and unconsciously, you know, subconsciously. And we don't realize we're doing it because it's this comparison of not being like good enough within ourselves to compare to another. And it's this projection that, you know, the person that you might be looking up to may have all sorts of fears, insecurities, etc. I get that a lot. You know, I used to find it difficult to show my vulnerabilities because I was perceived to be the strong person all the time. I'm an incredibly sensitive soul, you know, with everything that's going on right now. You know, just to express your vulnerabilities is a powerhouse in itself. Therefore, subsequently expressing your authenticity. So authenticity is your powerhouse, and that's exactly what's happened there with you. And, you know, there's something that I wanted to ask you about, like this subject of money and abundance. And just through, as a witness and observation, seeing coaches, life coaches throughout the years, in this movement right now in particular, where there's truthers out there, and getting completely rocks thrown at them for making money, whereas they don't have any issues with influencers making loads of money. But, you know, there's an expectation for people like ourselves not to have any kind of return for the energy that we give out.
Right.
So what, you know, this subject of abundance is something that I've, again, like yourself, have wrapped my head around, because I too have had, you know, an up and down, energetic, weird relationship with it, and I haven't quite also clocked it myself. And is it almost, you know, is it that we are so embedded in this lack-based mentality in comparison to others that we're always constantly looking outside rather than, you know, looking within, you know?
Yeah. So the way that I've been shown it recently is that there was an old patriarchal way of earning money, of the frequency that money was on. So this old patriarchal way of the frequency of money. So money is a frequency, it's a currency. This is why we refer to it as currency. It goes on a current, and it finds a level, and that's where you meet it. You meet it with your energy, your frequency, vibration. So for a very long time, up until really now, we have earned money from a very masculine hustle, grind, go take it, compete, greed, go get it kind of a way. And it doesn't support women. It doesn't support women at all in their truth. Because I know for me, like, as I have been healing myself, one of the things that I was very independent, very, I can do it myself, very, let me just handle it. I can do it better. And that actually is a detriment to women, because it takes us out of our feminine energy. We are. Yeah.
Oh,
I know, right? It takes us out of our feminine energy and into a toxic masculine energy,
100%.
which makes it nearly impossible for us to manifest from a fifth dimensional perspective.
Yeah.
So if you are trying to manifest and it's not working, those are the things you want to look at first. You want to look at, okay, where am I being too masculine and toxic masculine as a woman? Because as women, we should be able to manifest really easily. So going back to what I was first saying with money, we had that going on. And that's the energy that I was in. And I was spinning my wheels constantly and I couldn't receive. And one of the beliefs that I had as well is that I was a bother. So if I went and asked somebody for help, that would mean that I was bothering them. And so what I had to heal from was I had to lean back and receive. So this is very feminine, leaning back and receiving and trusting this. This is very difficult for a lot of feminines to do.
Yeah.
And so I had to learn that though, and receive and lean back and know that I'm not a bother, that this is how it works.
Yeah.
And this is vulnerability. This is also authenticity. So then what happens is when you as a woman crack that code and you're like, okay, I don't have to do it all on my own. It is not wrong for me to receive from a man. It is not wrong for me to be in a relationship with a man where he goes and earns the bulk of the money. See, we saw a generation of people be stuck in marriages that they hated being in because they couldn't get out because they were women that couldn't earn their own money and the men earned it all. So this, previous 2 generations before us, and this is where we've gotten today.
Yeah.
But now we as women, okay, so if we can understand this, if we can understand that we can lean back and we can receive,
Yeah.
and that we can get on the magical carpet ride of where the 5th dimensional money is, then we will receive it. And it doesn't matter. It's not about it coming from a man. It's not about it being dependent upon somebody else or competition or anything like that. It is truly a place of manifestation, that money just gets to be easy. Money just gets to come.
Yeah.
And that is the inner work that I had to do. I had to start believing that, because I didn't have that belief at all. I had a belief that it was struggle, that it was hard,
Yeah.
that it was like, I've got to work really hard for it. That was my belief.
Yeah.
So now we're on this 5th dimensional money,
Yeah.
this currency up here. And this currency up here is very feminine, and it's a very receptive energy.
Yeah.
So what we have to do as women is we have to start to peel back the layers of where we are trying to do it all and trying to take control and trying to do too much and compete and all of that stuff, and lean back and receive and let it be easy and trust it. So we have to, that's another big thing. We have to trust money.
Yeah.
And that was a huge thing for me to build, was trust.
Trust. Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are very key things that you've said. It's your belief system, your values, your value system, and then the trust that you employ around that. Very, very important here, because I spoke to another beautiful lady. She's a very similar journey as the denounced, emasculated woman. And, she called herself the self-love club. And it's very similar trajectories for women like ourselves, where, we're learning these things that have perhaps disempowered us all this time. Whereas, all the time it was just this imbalance of the give and take, the giving and receiving. Yeah. And in this journey myself, it's just happened authentically, not realizing that emasculating yourself was, a real disempowering service that I was doing for myself. I have to do everything my own. It's almost like you're manifesting that. Well, then the universe will give you what you say. Like, I have to do everything. I have to do everything on my own. I must earn money to just, to be self-sufficient and, independent. Our media also doesn't help, does it? All the music that's surrounded around independent women and feminism and liberalism and all of that, it's just encouraging this completely different sort of energy around us. So yes, we are entitled to receive abundance. And there's another sort of facet to that as well, like people's ideas of money and how they begrudge others having money.
Yeah.
There is that to this equilibrium here, where we're like, okay, I'm not also receiving, but are we begrudging there? Is that a hook as well? Is that a block in our energy field? And the reason why I say that is everything that you said, 100% with you on that. We have to go, that's going within, addressing and self-checking ourselves. Where are these wounds? Where are these feelings of, incompetence or lack of self-worth and all of that jazz? But also to balance that out into an equilibrium, how are we viewing abundance for others? Are we seeing people, we want to see them win, or are we secretly begrudging them? And this is something that, as a witness and as a sort of a bystander, especially in this movement over the last 10 months, I've seen so many people begrudge other people making money, calling them frauds, scams, this, that, the other. And it's just an interesting evaluation and just an observation that, would you say there is that too acts as blocks for us, in manifesting the money that we want?
Yeah, there's a lot of blocks and a lot of, okay, so that's the poverty lack mentality. what I like, there's a person in particular that I'm thinking of that has been sharing on this particular journey around what's been happening, like current events and all of that. It's a man, and he's a really great guy. Like he cares about people, he cares about his message. And he gets that a lot from people that, oh, you're just doing this for money. And he oftentimes will say in his live streams, you know, I'm entitled to make money here, da, 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 da. And I find it very interesting because it shows me that there's lack mentality on both ends. For him to justify that I need to make money here, or I want to make money here, I should make money here because I put so much effort and time into the research that I do and putting myself out there, all of that stuff. It also shows lack on his, it's a lack mentality on his aspect as well as the audience. Because if he was fully integrated in his abundance, then people wouldn't say that. They would not gravitate. You attract what you are.
Yeah.
So people would not come and say that. And if they may start to say that, but they get nothing out of it. Like they're not getting fed. Like that aspect is not getting fed. So then they go away, or they go to someone else where that aspect is going to get fed. Does it make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's very important. So, brilliant point.
Yeah. Yeah. So as leaders, those of us who have, you know, put our neck out there and said, you know, this is what's happening and we've got to stop this and we've got to change the trajectory of what's happening on our world and all of that stuff. If we come from a place of abundance and that abundance is available to all, and we come from that heart space,
exactly,
then that's what's going to go out to people, and that is what people are going to pick up.
Yeah.
Then if I were to go out and say, listen, you guys, I'm going to justify and say something that justifies my ability to earn doing this, then people are going to see that and say and question that. It's it's a really specific energy. It's all energy, right? And people are just responding to our energy. So if I go out there with complete gratitude and appreciation for my audience, and I go out there and I'm like, I'm abundant and I want you to be too, and I want to share everything that I can with you so that you know how to be abundant and that there is enough for everybody, and it doesn't matter, like it doesn't matter how much money is on the plate, like none of that matters. We have an abundant universe, abundant God, and we came here for abundance. We came here for that expression. So if I go out and I approach all of my work from that space, then I'm going to attract people who are like, oh, I want what she's got. I want to be abundant too. And I want other people to be abundant. It like opens up something inside of them.
Yeah, because you're balancing the energies there. You know, it's a win-win situation. You're winning yourself and you want to see others win too. And then, you know, you've got that balance. And I think we sometimes can stay in this polarized way of thinking. So this lack-based thinking, poverty consciousness, and like you said, everything is energy. And none of us have the manual for this and has it all worked out. But what I love is that we are, you know, always like life is progressive growth. Everything that you, I think you've frozen. Oh, there we go. Mercury retrograde.
Have I?
Oh, there you go. Oh, got you back. Sorry. You froze. Yeah, it's the Mercury retrograde. It's been playing up with me all day.
I know. Yeah. I know.
I love it. I love it. Embracing
my internet. Yeah, my internet is not too good either. So it's Mercury retrograde. We had a massive snowstorm, and it's like, the internet's spotty. So I Is
it still snowing out there? You're in New York, right?
No, I'm in Illinois. It's not snowing right now, but we just had a massive snowstorm. So it's like causing the internet to be super slow.
Yeah, well, you heard about the snow, haven't you? We were snowing here as well. And people are, you know, looking at the snow in a different way. But anyway, yes. Where were we? What were we saying?
We were talking about abundance and the balance and
sorry. So it's the good point that you raised there, because you know, if we are looking and feeling criticized by someone having an issue with us earning money, then yes, it's a really good point that you raised there, that you know, it works both ways, because somewhere inadvertently there's that vibration that's going on and that energy where that has an issue with that. So it's really about neutralizing the charges these things have on you. So I like the tapping technique. You know, you're synthesizing both polarities so that you come to that equilibrium and that charge that it has on you. And again, all goes down to our belief system, how we've been indoctrinated consciously or subconsciously. And we are trying to unhook ourselves from this. And it's that effort that we want to, that's what I was saying, is that, you know, life is progressive growth. We're continuously developing and always growing. And I think it's, we're at real interesting times right now. I mean, every month just seems different, you know, even from, if we take it right back to say October, November, I had this like confidence that, yeah, you know, the political system was going to go one way in a particular way, there's going to be a win. And I was very confident about that. And even though the background noise and what's going on behind the scenes, I have 100% belief that things are working for the greater good. But it was the sort of details that we weren't really sure about, but I was there like gung-ho, no, there's going to be a win, there's been fraud and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Now in that whole sort of orchestra of chaos, there's so much, even though things didn't go the way we anticipated and the way we would have wanted to, there was so much to learn. And even right now, there is just this unlearning of everything that we thought we knew and relearning different things, learning our own truth and really, you know, going in within. I'm not sure how it is for you and your clients, but I mean, how has the last 6 months been? Like, you've been doing this healing work and healing, and I have a question about that in a second as well. But more specifically, in these 6 months, you know, working with your clients, how has that been?
So it's really interesting that you say that, because we do have this projection, and I had the same belief. Like, I was certain that things were going to work out the way that we thought they were. You know, there was going to be a certain win, and there was going to be things taken down, and justice was going to be served, you know. And so many of us on this journey are like, justice needs to be served, justice for the children, you know. Yeah. We're all about like seeing that, right? Because our hearts are like hurting for these people that are hurting. And so anyway, I too was like that. And then there also is this aspect where we aren't really writing the global script here. God is. And God is going to do things in ways that we cannot script or cannot imagine, you know. And it goes back to like my own business. Every single month I set a goal of, this is what I want to do, but I don't know the how. I don't know how I'm going to get from point A to point B. I just go with my inspired guidance along the way. And I let the inspiration guide me. And then when I have a trigger that comes up around unbelief of it's impossible for me to get there, I go in, I alchemize that trigger, and then I keep going. And this is like the speed bumps that we get along the way. The more that you alchemize your speed bumps, the faster you go, the more you go quantum, right? This is a quantum. This is when you start to quantum leap, is you get rid of these speed bumps along the way. And so this is why it's good to set a goal, because you're like, okay, I'm going to set this goal. I don't know how I'm going to get there, because the how isn't up to you. The how is always God. And every single time you get a trigger, you alchemize that trigger. And the more you alchemize, see, the shadow doesn't come back. So the more shadow you alchemize, the less shadow you have. Yeah. And the less shadow you have, the faster you can go, because the more light that you pack into the body. Yeah. So if you're full of shadow, you're full of dense, dark energy. And this energy is not only inside of you, it's also in your etheric bodies. It's like outside of you as well, into your auric field. So your purpose here is to alchemize shadow on repeat. Just alchemize, alchemize, alchemize. As you alchemize more, you're packing in more light. And the more light you pack in, the more bright you become, the more magnetic you become, the more radiant you become, the younger you look. Like, it literally reverse ages you. And so if you get attached to the way that things have to be, the how, that's a shadow. Exactly. One of the things that Tony Robbins says is trade your expectation for appreciation. Yeah. Appreciation is adding value because you're giving that thing that you're looking at admiration and love. And so when you trade your expectation for appreciation, then you're not caught up in how it has to be or how it has to look. Yeah. And that frees your soul. Yeah. So that's what I had to do. I had to go, okay, you know what? God's writing this. I I can't do anything else about it. All I can do is stay present and do the best I can with me and my immediate like surroundings. And that's what I'm committed to. And that's what I did. I recalibrated and recommitted.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Because, you know, you're taking responsibility as well there, though. You know, you're
Mhm.
looking at self within, and you're looking at what essentially what you can and can't control. However, you know, having an attachment to an outcome is where we always have car crashes, you know, and
Yeah.
this is, you know, this is the trajectory of the last 6 months, especially. There was this kind of, with my friends as well, this confidence. It was a bit of a cocky confidence that, yeah, it's gonna
Yeah.
win. And I felt kind of self-righteous there. It's like bad things have been happening to the children, and this, you know, crimes against humanity. This is it. This is what this journey is teaching us. It's teaching us about self. It's not where this destination is going to go. It is the journey. This could take a year, 2 years. It could be all over in a month. But what then? You know, we're evolving consistently, constantly, and while we are, I feel like, especially in the last 3-4 weeks post the inauguration, the world has gone into sort of a very interesting place, you know, no judgment, but just an interesting place, just as an observer, seeing how people are handling things, how I'm handling things, how I'm sort of receiving information, how I'm energetically connecting with people or not connecting with people, how much I've had to remove myself from the geopolitical side just to recalibrate as well. You know, also addressing the triggers and the shadow work within, because it was like, well, you were a little bit over optimistic. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, because we are people that want good for humanity. Ultimately, the intention is there. It's the intention and how people perceiving those intentions. So on the one hand, you might have people thinking you're a raving lunatic, and then the other hand, it's getting balance with people appreciating you. And that's really key here. I love that. Appreciation is really, really instrumental, especially for me in my growth in this particular journey. But having that sense of gratitude and that losing that fear porn, and I get it as well, sometimes we all do, right? Because it was like all our hearts were like, oh my God, what's going to happen, what's going to happen? And then it like, oh my God, you know, damn it, what were we scared of? The rocks that were going to be thrown at our face, the tomatoes that were going to be thrown at us. There's all of these sort of human conditioning, again, the fear of what people will think. And we as humanity need to learn from these experiences. You know, what I feel is this compassion and kindness is kind of getting diluted, and ego is stepping in. My truth's better than your truth.
Yeah.
The sort of same constructs that we've been living through for a long time. So what you're saying is alchemizing everything so that you are actually addressing, when you are keeping your garden, your mind clean inside, you know, your outer world will seem that much more cleaner. And it's having that acceptance of self within this journey, where you are observing as a bystander, as a witness to others around you, and having no attachment to any outcome, but for having trust in the divine plan, and that whatever will be happening for the good of humanity, even though it may not seem like it. And this is, I'm probably going to get rocks thrown at my face now for saying that.
Well, yeah, you know what? No, if someone does, they need to check themselves, right? They gotta check themselves. Because here's the thing that I want to say about that. First of all, I want to give your viewers hope, because first of all, God is in control. Our planet is going up in frequency, and I talk a lot about frequency in my work. And frequency is there's levels to frequency. The lower in frequency that a person is, the more fear, anger, self-righteousness, depression, shame, guilt, all of those things that person carries. And it's a vibration as well. So it's not a very high vibration. Then the higher you go on this frequency scale, the higher in vibration you are. So it turns into love and courage and joy and happiness, all of those frequencies and vibration, right? So the trajectory that the earth is on that trajectory of of raising the frequency. And so when we as the humans are like, yeah, I've got this all figured out. Donald Trump is going to save the world and he's going to get elected as president, take all the stuff down and da 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 da. And we're literally projecting a God consciousness onto this person, then God's going to say, like, wait a second, like, this is getting out of hand. Like, they got to remember who's in charge here. It's not DT, it's me, you know, like, this is God speaking. And so he's like, so God's thinking, well, I got an entire planet to wake up here. Like, I don't have just Americans to worry about. I have the entire planet to wake up. So I got to look at all of the moving parts of this whole entire planet, what's happening everywhere, what's happening in all these different places, and take into consideration all of the things. So what happened in the last 6 months has allowed us to broaden our perspective, to allow those of us on who are raising a frequency first, like those of us who decided to go first and take this all on. It's allowing us to get deeper in our message, deeper in our faith, take our eyes off of something outside of ourselves and go back to internal, go back to God, go back to where this is at, and begin and continue to create from that place.
Yep.
And the more, see, the thing is that the higher in frequency you are as an individual, the more that you can help other people go up.
Absolutely.
So you affect other people.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, just this energetic exchange. This is something that I've definitely learned and can feel. So I can feel frequencies and energies in people. But before, I didn't realize how to sort of decipher it or even understand what it was, because I was my whole energy was all over the show myself, right? Because it's like everything was bouncing around. I was like, whoa, this is just too much. And somebody else's frequency would, like, I could feel it and it would just be too much, this whole thing about being an empath or whatever it is. But as you recalibrate and you sort of pause, you just pause and breathe. It's very simple. Sometimes it's just, you think, really, do I just need to breathe just to sort of recalibrate? I had and I had this thought today in a Kundalini session. It was amazing, and it was just the breath work, the breath of fire. You know, just and it's just this simple hand movement that we do, and it was just 15 minutes, quick Kundalini session. And I went into some sound healing, and it was just listening to self inside in that meditative state. And it's like, oh, okay, you know, my chakras don't need to be all like, you know, one in Honolulu, one in Barbados. They can all come back now, back to me and aligned. But look, every day is a learning curve, every single day in this journey. And I find that there has to be a bit of a balance, because you're around, say, November, December, there was a lot of impetus on what's going on the geopolitical arena. And then now it's just like, oh my God, back to self. Oh my God, none of the dates that I thought, you know, Trump's even going to come in on the 4th. I don't really honestly see that happening. And that's, I'm not attaching myself to any dates. I do know that I feel in every marrow of my bone that there is something good, there's something great that's on the precipice of happening. And I can feel that, when not giving any timelines. And I think that's the most important thing, because it's just should give us all a chance to sort of examine where we're at with our journey. And it's okay if we got it wrong. It's okay.
Yeah, and that is okay. I did a live stream about this a while ago, about it's okay if your intuition was not accurate in this. It's not that it wasn't accurate. So DT did win. Like, he did win.
Exactly.
But because of the whole circumstance and the situation, it didn't work out for him to be in that office. And I don't know what's going on. None of us know what's going on behind the scenes and what's really,
just speculate,
right? But it's okay for us to do that. And it's also now time for us to take our focus, like you said, off of the timelines, off of the dates, off of all of those things, and begin to focus here in our own journey, really loving ourselves and doing this inner work so that we're affecting other people. Because, like I was saying before, if one person alchemizes and then actualizes, recalibrates themselves to a higher frequency,
love that
that affects thousands upon thousands of people. You have a ripple effect in that frequency. But if you're in fear and anger of like, oh my gosh, and you're trying to figure out what's going on, and you have to be in control, and you have to know because you haven't done the inner work and to feel okay if things don't seem to be in your control, then you're affecting one or two people, maybe the ones surrounding you.
Yeah.
There's no magnetism there. There's no radiance there. So we have to do the work of the magnetism and the radiance so that we can affect other people. And the more of us that do this work, the higher in frequency that we all go. And this is how we change the world.
Absolutely.
It's not one person being in office. This is how we change the world. We change the world right here.
Yeah. Change our world so that the outer world is changing, because it's the perception. It's how we are seeing and perceiving things, knowing when and how to respond. It's not, it's nothing controlled. It's that ability to witness and be out of that control vibration. You know, it must happen according to this timeline, and if it doesn't, I'm going to gun the person. I'm going to blame someone else that it didn't happen, and it suddenly becomes their fault. See, in this movement, you know, we can't put the impetus on someone else. We can't put all our faith into someone else, and no one's a guru. I mean, there are gurus, but putting all your own guru, be your own hero, be your own guru. And yes, we can take nuggets of wisdom from spiritual masters, people who are, you know, big authorities in the world of spirituality and whatever subject that they are an expert on. But that doesn't mean we put all our implicit faith in them completely. Right. That's it, and that's the way. Like like Donald Trump as well. He's brilliant. He's done so many things, and I absolutely love him. And there's a difference. There's an appreciation, but I'm not obsessed with him like that. I just find him hilarious.
I find him hilarious too.
I find him hilarious. I find him, he's got guts, and it's a great energy that he exudes. And I like what he's standing for. And there's that, guess what, appreciation for him, right?
Yeah.
Right now, he's nowhere to be seen. Has my life gone upside down? Has it changed? What's happened in my life right now? Okay, we're still here in lockdown in the UK, but what am I doing? Was it any different to when he was in you know, in administration back then? We have to see what's going on with ourselves, and if something doesn't happen by pundits and people who are speculating, people who are on social media speculating, researching, evaluating, you, myself, we're just getting nuggets of wisdom from people. People are like drawn to you or drawn to me because they feel some kind of synergy, right?
Yeah,
there's something. Yeah, there's a synergy there. There shouldn't ever be that, right, whatever Alpa says, that's it, I'm going to do it. And then as soon as something doesn't happen, those rocks come out.
Yeah. That is putting all of your focus. And when someone does that, that's shadow, actually. That's a very, very big shadow. When someone is outward focused on this other person being a savior, it means that they're not trusting themselves. It means that they're not valuing themselves. This is all about self-value. This is what I feel like this is all teaching us, is to trust deeper in God, trust deeper in ourselves, to come back home to here, to self. Because one of the things that I wanted to say is, like, when we put that savior complex on somebody, like a lot of people did with DT, a lot of savior complex there. One of the things that happens is it takes us out of ourselves. Okay, what we want to do is we want to draw this all back to ourselves. We want to draw the energy back in and heal here first. And then what happens is the more of us that heal, the more of these outer constructs dissipate. And what I mean by these outer constructs is, you know, this aspect of the trafficking that we've seen, that will dissipate on its own. There doesn't have to be a force to dissipate that. Like, we don't have to go lock people up or kill people in order to stop that. We stop that by raising our own frequency. The consciousness of the planet goes up in frequency. The consciousness stops it. People begin to go, wait a second, I don't even want to do this anymore. And it dissipates. It destroys the construct that is on. So the construct being the matrix that a lot of people are still plugged into. This construct dissipates or dissolves.
Yeah.
So this is why the inner work is the most important work we can do right now.
Yeah, for sure. And I used to have people write into me right at the beginning of this journey, going back to sort of, when did I come on? In July, when I done my first show. And it was so many people asking me, like, how do I go inside? Like, how do I do the inner work? And I was like, I'm just, I've just discovered all this stuff too. And I've just started screaming about it. I don't have that manual. And I was a little overwhelmed because it was never that intention to project that I know everything. It was just actually coming out, expressing my disgust for these crimes against humanity.
Right.
There was no sort of manual or no direction or kind of like map of where this needs, how this is going to pan out. It wasn't anything specific. So it was all fragmented in my case anyway. So now I was like, oh crap, people are asking me, and it just came from here. My answers always come from here, from my heart, and I would say, look, I don't have all the answers. I don't, So, but, trust self. And this is what you raised earlier on. You're saying to yourself, like, we have learned so much not to trust ourselves and trust outside, that this is where these questions are happening inadvertently, like not being able to trust ourselves. So, yeah. Well, look, it's just a learning curve all the time.
It is. And part of what's coming to mind too is that it's probably a blessing in disguise that DT did not get elected, because we would have had this savior complex on this person, and we would have been let down over time. And this is causing us to all go back in and say, wait a second, okay, we did get that wrong. We thought this was going to happen and this didn't. Okay. And then we pick ourselves back up and say, how can I know myself deeper? How can I trust myself deeper? How can I raise my own frequency so that I can help other people, so that the planet goes up and all of these constructs, these old paradigms collapse, these old timelines collapse. And then once they do, then this new earth rises.
Yeah. We have a way to go. We have obviously this, we're just only beginning. We're just only beginning. And, it's collaborating together in unity consciousness, learning from each other, which I think is really important. And just connecting like we have. It's been really lovely. Actually, I really enjoyed this one today. And I really thank you, because I've walked away with a few nuggets of wisdom there myself, especially where the shadow work stuff is concerned, alchemizing things, your triggers, the tapping. And that actually, everyone, that is really effective. I've forgotten to do that. Somebody actually told me, one of my healers years ago, said, just the tapping of the forehead. And I used to find it really like comforting. I used to just do this all the time. And my knee.
There's a point here, like when you're tapping on meridian lines, there's a point here that is, I forget what it opens up. It opens up, I think that the direction to the pineal
gland. I feel like doing that a lot now in my shows, but it would just look a bit silly, wouldn't it, if I was just doing like the talking, just healing. I got triggered by what you just said there. That was lie. You didn't say the right date. It didn't work out. I'm gonna penalize you. Trigger. Oh, Jen, look, it's been lovely, and I'm sure we'll do something again soon. Everyone, if you've enjoyed this, please follow Jen on her Instagram page, Jen Edwards Official, and lots of nuggets of wisdom there. And I'll have all the details on my description box. So thanks for watching, everyone, and Jen, thank you for being an absolutely awesome guest.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, everyone.